Hi guys, welcome back. In this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how you can maximize the very limited amount of flight time that you get out of a DJI Spark battery. And what's more, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to take one little battery and I'm going to go out to 2 locations today and I'm going to see what I can bring back with one battery. The one battery challenge. So let's go to the video. There is a great deal of good advice out there in terms of maximizing the amount of flight time that you actually get with a Spark battery. And you'll get maybe 11 to 13 minutes depending on conditions and how you fly. And so it is good advice in terms of you want to make the most of that 12 minutes or so that you have in the air. I'm going to start, before I do anything else, I'm going to start by giving you a few quick pieces of advice. And firstly, it's very important to get to know the location that you're in. Don't do what I did when I was a beginner and jump out of the car or off the bike or whatever form of transport you're on. Throw the drone up into the air as soon as possible and then start looking for things to film. It's not going to work for you. You're going to spend far too much time looking around. You'll end up with a ton of panning shots, 360 panning shots, and you're not going to have much else. And you'll be very disappointed when you bring it back and put it in the editor and find you haven't got a lot of footage you can use. So get to know the location first. Start to find places that look interesting. Start to think about those places. Also look for potential hazards, some things that might cause you problems, like trees that might be in the way, or low power lines. Or you might also look for transmitters and receivers and anything that might cause interference or signal interference. So get to know the area. I think that's very, very important before you even do anything. And the second piece of advice is don't fly too far. You're going to waste an awful lot of battery life if you actually fly too far to an object or a place that you want to video. Walk there and get closer yourself if you can, rather than send the drone. And that way you will also maximize the amount of battery life that you have. If you're a beginner or you're not very experienced, you're probably going to have the camera set to auto. So make sure that when you're flying that you've got auto exposure disabled, which will mean that you don't get those awful whiteout effects when you change the camera angle or when you change direction. These are things that you can do nothing about when it comes to editing, so make sure that you've got auto exposure disabled. And then something that's quite important, how much time do you spend on takeoff and landing? So if you think about it, and you take off and then you have to maneuver to wherever you're going to begin your shot, and then when you come in, depending on how high you are and the conditions that you're working in, you can lose on those two things a minute to a minute and a half of flying time. So don't take single shots. Plan everything that you're going to do and then just fly the drone in a specific route so that you can take everything at once. So good piece of advice, per location, take off and land only once. And finally, use the return to home as an extra shot. Be aware of where you are positioned, what you would like to see, and then position the drone so that the drone will fly towards you, capturing what's behind you or to the side of you, and this can act as an extra shot. You're going to have to return to home anyway. Use it to create video, and you can set the camera at different angles too, so you can have it pointing straight down or at 45 degrees. Whatever it is that you want to film, don't waste that return to home. Okay, There is one further thing that I would normally do, but I can't show you that yet until I'm actually out on location. So I'm actually going to charge up my battery now, my one battery, and then I'm going to head off out on my one battery challenge, and I will see you back here, hopefully with some really nice video to show you as well. I'll see you back here later on. Okay, so what was that extra thing that I did on location? Well, I had a quick look around at first and I had some ideas of what I wanted to do, but then I went to Google Maps and I took a picture, a screenshot from Google Maps, which is great because the blue dot shows me exactly where I am in relation to the environment around me. From there I put it into a photo editor and I mapped out a flight path. This means that I was only going to take off once and I was only going to land once, and so hopefully maximize the flight time that I had. Once I had this flight path, I used this to think about how I was going to fly, camera angles, camera direction, speed, etc. And studied this and made sure, as I only had one battery, I made sure that I knew exactly what I needed to do in order to maximize the battery time and have enough battery life for the next location. So off I went, and as I was coming in I noticed that the battery life had got down to 62%, and there was one shot that I had ignored previously that I wanted to do because I thought it would take too much time. I decided at that point, let's go for it. And so I wanted to go around the back of the rocks to see what the quarry was like on the other side. So I did a quick circle around the back and came back, and when I landed there was 50% left on the battery. When I got to location number 2, I knew that I only had probably 30% of the battery to play with. So I did exactly the same with Google Maps and planned 2 short flights, and I would then use the return to home as the final flight, so that I could get what was behind me. When I landed there, I'd managed to get, I had 21% of the battery left. So a good job done, and I was anxious now to get home and see what how much footage that I'd got that I could use. So when I got home, I immediately found that I'd lost about 4.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes due to takeoff and landing, and I'd lost about 2 minutes where I was maneuvering into position or changing the camera angle or changing altitude, etc. At the end of that, I found that some of the clips were a little bit long, so I had to chop them down a little bit, which left me with around about just short of 6 minutes of video and around 13 video clips which were very usable and very editable. And so last night I spent some time editing a short 3-minute or so video of my one battery challenge. So let's take a look at the video.
Yeah.
I would say that my one battery challenge was fairly successful. And I think it kind of demonstrates that despite the fact that there is very limited flight time with the Spark battery, that if you plan carefully beforehand, you can create a very decent amount of footage that is very usable from one Spark battery. Okay, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a big thumbs up. And if you thought it was useful and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so that you can stay in touch, because there's going to be a lot more stuff uploaded over the coming months. Also, you can follow me as usual on Instagram at Phil's Drone Zone. Now all that remains to be said is stay happy and keep flying.